When I'm working with Adobe Premiere, I always run into the problem that I want to fade in and fade out a quote right in the middle of my video. And if you use exponential fade like I've shown in a past video for audio effects, it does not do the same thing that keyframes do. So keyframes, to give you a little background, is basically a dot that'll basically show up on your timeline right here under your audio effects or your video effects, depending on how you use it, to fade in and fade out audio, but you're able to customize it yourself. When you do an exponential fade, that preset is already there for you and it's already going to set it up how it wants to basically set itself up. But for this, you are totally in control. You can do whatever you want with it. So the shortcut to this is just P, or you can just click the little pointer tool right here. It's called the pen tool, and you're going to go down and you can make adjustments on your timeline to the audio level. So if I put a dot right here, I can put another dot right here and drag this all the way down. And so obviously that's going to fade out your quote completely, super quick. I don't really want that in this case because I want my quotes to blend and make sure that it doesn't sound like there's a cut or a fade there. So if you listen to this back right now,
Exclusive.
so if you hear exclusive, that's where I want my quote to end. So I want it to end right there and I want it to fade into my next quote.
Inclusive, then exclusive, and
so I'm going to put a keyframe. I'm going to put a keyframe right here. So I have my other keyframe right next to me and I'm going to start fading this out. So this is going to make it a little bit more natural using keyframes.
Inclusive, then exclusive, and
so I may need to start the fade a little bit into her voice, if you can hear that there. So just so when I get to the point of where she starts talking about her next thing, we're not going to be able to hear that.
Then exclusive.
So you can barely hear it, and it works pretty well. So we're going to drag this back down into audio 2, which is just going to, it's not going to really do anything for us, but we're going to go ahead and go up. And so we have this clip here that basically ends right here. So we want to, we're just going to go ahead and unlink this real quick. We're going to bring this over. And I recommend using keyframes if you're going to have B-roll over this anyway, just so, because you might end up unlinking these clips, and so what she's saying isn't going to match up with what you're seeing. So if you go down,
Exclusive.
so we hear it end right there, so we're going to drag this over, and we are going to maybe even put it right where this first keyframe is, and we're going to start fading this in. So we'll put just a couple little things right here. Let's listen to this quote first.
And so when the rest of the school
Turn this off.
can't wear a hat and somebody is allowed to wear a hat, when the rest of
So I want to start kind of right here in this area.
when the rest of the school can't wear a hat and somebody
So I may go ahead and just set myself up right here and delete this part. So I'm going to move this over to where my keyframe starts.
then exclusive. So when the rest of the school can't
So we want to fade this in right here. So let's make a keyframe down here and one that's kind of going up drastically a little bit right here. Let's listen to that.
inclusive, then exclusive. When the rest of the school can't wear a hat.
So of course I can mess with it a little bit more and make it sound a little bit smoother, but of course that's what you're going to do in the editing process, and it's what I do in the editing process. But this kind of gives you a general idea just to how to go through the motions and go through the steps to try and get the keyframes to be there and kind of just see how they're used. If you ever want to mess around with it, I would put a exponential fade in this and then kind of see the difference and why keyframes work a little bit better.